Sausage.
Hello, everyone. I don't know what that was. This is Attack the Backlog, though, the podcast where I, Mark Kuznets, tries to make a dent in their backlog one game at a time. This episode is all about Wave Race 64, a game where you race on waves 64% of the time. What do you do that other 36% of the time? You wonder how Nintendo could still be this bad at offering even the most bare minimum of options in their Nintendo Switch Online suite. That's right, I didn't play Wave Race 64 on actual hardware. What was it? I didn't play Wave Race 64 on actual hardware. I mean, I technically played it on actual hardware, just not the actual hardware it actually originally came out on, which is, you guessed it, actually the Nintendo 64 and not the Nintendo Switch, thus the name, which would need switching to something like Wave Race Switchy 4 if the opposite were true. I played the game instead on the Nintendo Switch thanks to its inclusion in the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. I do actually own a physical copy and an actual Nintendo 64 to play said copy on. However, I don't currently have a great way of capturing footage from a Nintendo 64, or more accurately, don't feel like looking into what I have to do with the tools I have, so emulation via Nintendo Switch Online was the way to go, and a way to go it was. I'm saying I had an actual fucking blast with Wave Race 64. Wave Race 64. I can't talk and I'm keeping all this in, baby. Also, I swear I'm not actually this obnoxious and will cease with all the actuals from here on out. I'm just trying to stretch what's sure to be a short episode into one that's longer and seemingly worth your time despite being anything but, and don't worry, I'm not about to make that dumb butt joke for a third time in a row. Now, back to your regularly scheduled episode. Let's not kid ourselves here. I 100% decided to play Wave Race 64 in large part because I knew it would be a fast and easy episode to produce. I've always been interested in checking out the game, but it was never anywhere near the top of my to-do list. That said, after getting access to the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, I can't speak, Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, I decided to kill two birds with one stone, and here we are. There isn't a lot to Wave Race 64. I don't know, I'm having fun. I'm sure you're not. And there isn't a lot to Wave Race 64. You have a handful of modes, 2 handfuls of courses, and 4 appendages worth of fun. I spent the majority of my time in Championship mode, a very traditional mode where you race your way through either 6, 7, or 8 courses depending on difficulty, hoping to come out on top as the one champion to rule them all. There is also a time trial mode, which is great for practicing, a stunt mode that's all about driving through rings to increase your multiplier while also doing tricks off of ramps, tricks I could never figure out how to do since Nintendo provides no instructions as to how any part of the game controls. Thanks, Nintendo! And a 2-player versus mode I never played because I have no friends and my dad's been out of gaming commission since having a serious stroke not that long ago. Insert sad nervous laughing here and or that one grimacing gif of Michael Scott we all know and love. Speaking of knowing and loving, if you knew my father, I'm sure you'd love him. But enough of the mushy stuff, let's get back to the whooshy stuff, because when you're on your jet ski, you go whoosh 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 all the way up Long Wave Day. Racing in Wave Race 64 is super fun. You only have 2 things to worry about: buoys and waves. Waves in the water and buoys, the thing that are in the water, not people booing me and waving at me. Shut up. You also have to worry about your fellow racers because you can run into them eliciting Wilhelm-esque screams and, if done with enough force, spectacular crashes at a track like Fabio riding a gazing horse. A grazing horse, not a gazing horse. What's a gazing horse? A grazing horse. Who cares? Do you even know who Fabio is anymore, people? He's the dude who got hit in the friggin' face with a bird while on a roller coaster. He also can't believe it's not butter.
I can't believe it's not butter.
I can't believe it's not butter either, even though it tastes nothing like butter. But I will return to the show. That rhyme may have been a bit of a stretch, but one doesn't need to stretch in order to find the fun in Wave Race 64 because the core gameplay is just that good. Waves come at you at an almost constant pace and spice up every race by adding a degree of unpredictability that makes every race special and unique, which is great for keeping the minimal amount of courses always exciting. The buoys add an extra layer of challenge by forcing you to ride either to the left or right of them depending on the color, and if you miss enough, you'll be met with automatic failure, not to mention losing the speed boost you get from successfully passing multiple buoys in a row. That's pretty much all there is. Since the max number of racers is 4, yourself included, there isn't a whole lot of competition, and the only mode worth anything is championship mode, though I'm sure multiplayer would be great if you have a local buddy to play with, but if you have a few minutes to kill or happen to have a friend or two, well, if you have 2 or more, only one will be able to play while the rest can only watch, so maybe try and not be so popular, MX Fancy Pants. Wave Race 64 is a good time, and a Nintendo 64 game that holds up as not just okay, but surprisingly great. And with that, I've nothing left to say, so bid you adieu. I shall do with the opposite of hey and the movement of my hand that some call a wave. Anyway, that will do it for this here episode of Attack the Backlog. Once again, I am Mark Kuznez. Y'all can find me pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage. You can also find every link you could ever hope to find regarding me and the stuff I make, like the art, the shows, the YouTube, and what have you over at pxsausage.com, including the Patreon, which is where you would go if you enjoy this here show or any of the stuff I do and would like to support me and my nonsense, which is patreon.com/pxs. That is again patreon.com/pxs. Anywho, that is really it and all. So thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I apparently enjoyed recording it, as much as I enjoyed playing Wave Race 64, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. So for now, adios, arrivederci, bye!
You finished second and got 4 points. Nice going. Move on to the next round.